Hi there, Pauline here, filling in on behalf of David Pearce today as he's not feeling very well. He is in the background though and is watching over us, but unfortunately doesn't really want to have any coughing fits during this seminar. As we're waiting for participants to come in, we will today be learning from Jeff Kay, who is a social media guru, and that's what we love to learn, how in our business, how to do, social media in a good way, how it's going to be effective for us as property managers, and learn all tricks of the social media side of things. Good morning, we've got a few coming in. Richard, good morning. We're still expecting a few more people. We'll give it just a little bit. Yeah, I've got a coffee, so yeah, make yourself a coffee. We will be getting underway very shortly. Jeff has got a snapshot for that he will be going through and showing us all his tips of the trade. Jeff is a director of the Easy Social Media, which most of you may have jumped on his website to check him out. I certainly did, and looks very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to find his webinar very helpful today for all of us. Okay, so morning everyone, that is David there on the RPMA watching over us, making sure that we're doing okay. I think we'll give it just a little bit longer. We're 3 minutes into it. There's still some people that have registered that are not online yet. However, due to Easter, things may have got a bit hectic for property managers this morning. So, and also this is being recorded, so anybody can have a look at it once it's made available on the RPMA site by David. So, okay, I think Jeff, do you think we're ready to kick off now?
Sure, sounds good to me.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I will mute myself and leave it to you.
Morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Pauline. My name's Jeff Kay, and my business, Easy Social Media, we set up, but more importantly, we manage the social media for our clients across such platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Snapchat. There's a fairly long list of social media platforms, but what I wanted to do today is point out the use of social media for property managers in terms of how to use it to grow your business, and also just touch on some of the potential traps and pitfalls along the way. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I've got a little presentation to share with you. I'm going to make this presentation available for distribution afterwards. I'll forward it to Pauline. So if you want a copy of it, she'll be able to arrange that for you. Right. I'm presuming that you can see my screen. Excellent. All righty. So social media, let's just have a look at the big picture. 90% of internet users, that's 9 out of 10 people who go online, are active on social media. We can see that at the bottom end of the scale, 94% of the 18 to 29-year-olds, but more importantly, more than half of the people over 65 are active on social media, generally Facebook. And that age group, the 50+ age group, is the fastest growing group of new social media users. So when you think about your business and the market you're trying to target, which is property investors, it could well be that it hits that demographic fair and square. Now, another aspect about social media users, 19% of all time spent online is spent on one platform or another. Now, what platforms are people spending their time on? We've got Facebook, 2.27 billion users worldwide, 3.6 million in New Zealand. So that's a good chunk of New Zealanders who are spending on average 20 hours per month on Facebook. So that's a fair amount of time, and that's where they can find your message when they're busily looking down their newsfeed. 80% of users actually discover brands on their Facebook page. And how that discovery process works, we all live in tribes, and we're incredibly influenced by what our friends and colleagues are looking at. We see their interactions in our newsfeed. We see that our friends have interacted with that brand or engaged with that new product. And generally, because we are tribal, we tend to have a look at what our friends are finding so jolly interesting. In fact, 1 in 2 of us go on to engage with the brands that we see our friends are looking at. And 4 out of 10 Facebook users say Facebook is the #1 influencer of their purchases. That's not to say they buy things on Facebook, but what they see and learn and discover on Facebook has an enormous effect on their eventual purchase decisions. So how does a business participate in that? Individual users can create a Facebook account, create a profile for themselves, add followers to that profile, follow businesses, and then start interacting with them. Businesses, however, it all starts with a Facebook business page. It's kind of like a website, but it sits inside Facebook. You have a branded page with your name, with your contact details. You have additional content on it. People can leave messages and contact you through that page. But the page itself, unlike a website, a social media page comes to life when people start being active on it. Active as in the sense of posting on it. People live your brand through their newsfeed. They're unlikely to search you out on Facebook, but if they're an active property investor and you are active on Facebook as a property manager, then they will see your content in their newsfeed if you're targeting them correctly. So what sort of content? In this instance, this is a call to action for a rental property. To be fair, our property manager clients, most of our Facebook activity is on finding new clients for them, i.e. property investors. But we do have some of our clients who use Facebook as a platform to show their listings. Others focus on Trade Me and various other sites to advertise their listings, but use social media purely for lead generation and finding new clients, i.e. property investors for them to manage their properties. So the other aspect about social media is the more you talk about your own products and services, the less interesting your page becomes. Ideally, you want to use your page as the opportunity to talk about all things relevant to property management. So you might include tips and advice, how to spot a good investment property, and 3 things you need to know about brick and tile, strata title properties, all sorts of interesting content, which would be of interest to property investors. Topical news stories is another really important content pillar. It shows that you're across your industry when you're showcasing things that are happening in the news that will affect the market for property investors. So once again, showcasing that is a really good way of demonstrating your expertise and the fact that you're across the market. Another really useful tool to consider is making use of video. Now, once again, this is another tool which gets great traction on Facebook. People would much rather watch a vid than stare at an image and read the text above it. And the best sort of videos are short 20 to 30 second videos. It could be a client saying something fabulous about your services. It could be you with some relevant point or another on the market. But the best video content is short, sweet, and relevant. So do consider video content as another content pillar. Sorry, my screen jumped there, but another very important conversation is talking about the team. A lot of businesses on Facebook treat it as another marketing channel where they're heavy on the goods and services, but light on the people. Social media is all about the people. So the more you can showcase your team, your clients, and the people involved around you, the more people or potential clients are going to form that personal connection with you. So using social media to really showcase what the team does both at work and out of work is another really useful activity. And as I say, it does personalize it. It moves it away from ABC property management and into, here's Penelope, who looks after our properties so well. So the people content is a very, very important aspect of it. And once again, you could talk about the community initiatives your business might support, maybe a sponsor of the Ripper rugby team at the local school or whatever it might be. Showing people that you're part of the community and embedded in it is another really good way of demonstrating why you'd be the perfect property manager. So we've talked so far about the content, that is the creation of interesting content. The next step is to get that content in front of the right people. And that's where the Facebook ads platform comes into it. Just to take a step back, there's two digital marketing platforms of substance. There's search-based marketing driven by Google and Google AdWords, and there's interest-based marketing, which is what social media is all about. The search-based stuff is good. It captures people at the decision point, but you've seen the results of a Google search. It's rows of text. It's very little imagery. A lot of Google advertisers feel the need to lead with a discount or a price off to get people to the website. So I suggest it's probably not the best environment to present your brand and to look for clients. Social media advertising, Facebook advertising, on the other hand, works entirely differently. It's what's called interest-based. And what that means is Facebook tracks everywhere its users go, not just on Facebook, but everywhere online. It tracks the websites they go to, the pages they look at, and the actions they take on those pages. Based on people's search activities, Facebook knows who the property owners are. It knows who the property investors are, those who have properties and looking to rent them out and might be interested in the services of a property manager to assist. Facebook understands that just by virtue of the search activity of those people. So the idea is you create good content on the website and you use the Facebook advertising tools to get that content in front of the right people. Because what makes Facebook so efficient is that it's really cost effective. You're never trying to talk to everyone the way you would if you'd run an ad in the newspaper. There might only be 15 or 20 people in your area looking for a property manager that day, but you're going to pay the cost of talking to 230,000 Aucklanders via the New Zealand Herald. With social media marketing, if you get your audience targeting right, you're only talking to that group of property investors. It's a very finite group of people, and thus the costs of reaching them aren't that high. To give you an indication, for a number of our clients in the property space, we're not needing to spend more than $150 to $350 a month on the Facebook ads component because of the specific nature of the audience we're trying to target. So the key is with Facebook ads, it's not about spending lots of money. It's spending relatively modest amounts of money and having really good audience targeting so the content finds its way to the right people. It's all about the targeting. Facebook allows you to choose the age, the demographic, all sorts of interests and occupation-based pointers, which helps you drill down further. You can target property owners, you can target investors. You can be very specific geographically. You can literally put a street address into the ads manager and declare a radius around that address. And that's the only place your paid marketing reaches. So if you get the targeting right, you can expose your brand to a really significant and worthwhile audience. The other thing is there's still relatively few players in the paid ads aspect of Facebook marketing. So by getting your audience targeting and your ads right, you're certainly gaining an edge over your competitors. And the other lovely thing about social media marketing, all inputs in one end, be it time creating posts or money advertising them, you can track outputs at the other end. How many people saw that post? How many clicks to website? What actions those people did? Did they fill out the online form or make an inquiry? So you're getting really good data and feedback about it. So the other aspect of successful campaigning is to look at those analytics and factor them into future campaigns. And it's not hugely difficult to put an ad together. A Facebook ad simply is attaching a budget to a post. When you put a budget on a post, you turn that post into a paid campaign. When you post on social media, it drops down everyone's newsfeed just the once. if you attach a budget to it and turn it into a campaign, it's seen regularly by that group of people over the campaign period. You can possibly see, all of this. You can see, you can set a budget. You can set how long you want this campaign to run for. And if we could scroll further down, it would then ask you to choose your targeting tools, where you want that ad to appear, as in the exact geographical area, the group of people you're trying to target. And then once you've set that all, you click the boost button and your campaign's away. You'll get great analytics on the success or otherwise of the campaign, and you can factor that learning into your next campaign. So that takes care of Facebook. What other platforms should you be looking at? We'd strongly recommend LinkedIn. In New Zealand, it is the second largest social platform. It's about even Stevens with Instagram behind Facebook, possibly a little ahead of Instagram. 430 million users worldwide. That's 1 in 15 on the planet. In New Zealand, 1.3 million New Zealanders are on Facebook. That's 1 in 4 of us. So there's a significant user base in New Zealand. The other aspect of it, it does steer towards the professional user. So in terms of picking up property investors and those possibly looking for property managers, LinkedIn is another very good place to be active. As you say, the second most used social platform. It's a very effective platform for lead generation in the sense that you can target people by occupation. Perhaps in your industry, that's not so useful since people of any occupation can be property investors, but there's still some interest-based targeting tools. So LinkedIn still track what its users are doing online, so it has a fairly good idea as to the property owners. So the same targeting tools would work. The other thing about LinkedIn, simply because it is that pointy-headed business-to-business platform, the content is regarded as more credible. And the last thing about it, this comment about no filtered feed. With Facebook, Facebook doesn't really do a very good job of showing people your posts, because we'd much rather you put some money into it and pay people to see your posts. Whereas on LinkedIn, everyone sees your content. If you post on LinkedIn, there's no filtering. It's seen by the group of people LinkedIn think would be the most relevant to it. So where I'm going with this is that with LinkedIn, you don't really need to use the ads platform so much. There's great organic reach still in LinkedIn, and simply by being active, you've got every opportunity of your posts being seen by the right people and taking the actions you want them to take. So with LinkedIn, you get several bites of the cherry. You can have a LinkedIn personal profile, and we recommend you post content on that. You can create a LinkedIn business page, and once again, you can post content on that. We'd recommend posting both on your personal LinkedIn profile and on your business page. And if any of you are spending much time on LinkedIn, it's very much looking and feeling and behaving like Facebook. It's now an endless news feed of interesting and engaging content. And more people are using it the way they used to use Facebook. We're seeing things like hashtags, emojis, a much more casual use of LinkedIn. So it's now become a fully baked social media marketing platform, and you may as well be using it. So those are the two platforms that I think you get the most traction from, and those are the ones I'd be recommending. What I want to do now is just share with you what I feel to be my top 10 social tips for making social media work for property managers. I'll provide a bit of explanation for each one. Some of them seem very obvious, but our clients or when people come aboard with us, they seem to be making the same mistakes over and over again. So it certainly bears repeating. The first top tip is use as many platforms as you can. We've talked about Facebook and LinkedIn, but consider adding Twitter and Instagram to the marketing mix. The reason is, yes, it's probably Facebook and LinkedIn you'll get the inquiries from, but just having a branded presence across Instagram, across Twitter, possibly YouTube, you are expanding your online presence. There are these different points of presence online with your brand attached to them that are popping up. When Google next indexes your website, it will acknowledge this proliferation of your brand across these other places on the internet, and you'll find it'll be really positive for your Google search profile. So yes, regular social media, active social media across multiple platforms is good for your Google search profile. So that's a primary reason to use all platforms. Number two is be active. look, it's not enough to have a presence on the platforms. As I said at the outset, if you're not active on the platform, no one's seeing you. So what does active look like? We would suggest posting at least 3 times a week. There's all sorts of tools whereby you can schedule posts. You can hire or you can use third-party tools, which are either free or cost a modest $10 or $20 or $30 a month. Things like Sprout Social, Hootsuite, Post Planner. These are tools enabling you to schedule posts, so you can log in once a week, create a fortnight's worth of posts, and not go near social media again. So use the tools if you need to, but finding a bit of time 3 times a week to post content, you're certainly going to hit the button of being active. Be yourself. The thing with social media, you don't need that stilted website speak. A conversational tone, a casual tone. We would recommend use social media as you would talk to someone. Don't put it in too formal a language. We used to modify our LinkedIn messaging for clients up until about a year ago. And then we realized that LinkedIn is now being used the same way as the other platforms, abbreviations, emojis, hashtags. So informal and casual, yet with a professional tone, of course, is the best way to project yourself on social. Showcase your expertise. And this is more about not endlessly banging on about your service. If you're posting 3 times a week, you don't need to say each time, hey, we're those property managers, visit our website. The call to action post should be just once a week. The rest of the time is showcasing your expertise by curating interesting, relevant content. We're talking topical news stories along the property investment, positive stories, of course. We're talking tips and advice for property investors. We're talking any property information blogs. There's learned authors locally who write very interesting property blogs. By curating those and having those with a link on your social pages, you're showcasing your expertise. You're showing you're across your industry. You're showcasing that you're indeed the person who knows all about your profession. All of that without being so crass as to ask for the sale. So use it as a place to showcase all sorts of interesting things. And that in and of itself is of interest to property investors. They'd love to know about changes in legislation, interest rates, and all sorts of other things that you can come across. So not only are you providing a service for them, but as I say, you're showing that you know what you're talking about. Include positive client feedback. Really important. So 2 things people want to hear about in social media. 1 is what the proprietor has to say about themselves. 2 is what other people have to say about the proprietor. So if you get positive emails or feedback from your clients, don't be afraid to showcase that. You don't have to use a real name. You can use a stock image, but to include a sentence or 2 of an actual quote. That's the sort of thing people are looking for. It affirms the good things you're saying about yourself, and it's a third-party endorsement. So positive client feedback should definitely be an important content pillar. Monitor feedback. Unfortunately, and this is specific to your industry, we would recommend that you focus your social media on looking for potential clients rather than on showcasing the properties you have for listings. The general public can be rather unforgiving on various service providers' pages. And with all respect, property managers seem to cop a lot of flack for whatever reason. You don't have to put up with any of that. You can actually turn off the review box on your Facebook page altogether. Let me reinforce this point. With the Facebook review box, you can't delete reviews. You can only respond to them, but you can elect whether the review box is displayed or not displayed. So that's something you have control over. If users post negative commentary on your posts, you have a variety of options. You can respond to the user, you can delete the post, you can block the user. In fact, you can delete the post and block the user. You can do halfway things. You can hide the post so no one else sees it, but the person who did the post doesn't know it's been hidden because it's still there when they go back to it. So that's kind of a slightly underhand way of keeping someone quiet by making them think everyone can see their post, but really they can't. But we do counsel generally to be as transparent as possible, to have reviews, warts and all, and to respond to the reviews and showcase your customer service. But the reality is, you do, unfortunately, an industry which gets a lot of unfortunate bagging from the general public. So my hot tip would be to either consider not having the review box displayed and setting filters to prevent profanity and negative feedback on the page. Or if you do have the review box displayed and you do have unmonitored responses, then do check it frequently. You need to be across it. I mean, everyone drops the ball. If there's a 1-star review, but you're jumping in saying, hey, we did this, we contacted you then. If you'd like to talk about it some more, here's our contact details. If I came across that, I'd say, look, someone's had a complaint about something, but here's the proprietor. They've owned that complaint. They've given them an offline mechanism to continue it. And I'd be happy that that business owner clearly is protective of their business and looking to do the right thing, which is good. But you shouldn't put up with any profanity, and you should avoid getting into that endless toing and froing where after about the first response, whatever you say, you come across as defensive if you continue to engage. So our advice would be to have the one firm reply to something like that with the opportunity to continue the discussion offline. Please contact us on a phone number or an email address. So monitoring feedback, reviews and campaigns, super important in your profession. Respond, block and delete. Respond or block and delete. You can't have reviews or comments sitting there unanswered or unblocked. It just isn't a good look. It shows that you're not responsive to other people's concerns, which you don't want. So I did talk about this, using Facebook ads. Learn how to use the targeting tools. It's all kind of straightforward. There's an enormous amount of how-to videos on YouTube, which other users have made, and they're easy to follow. They 5 or 10 minutes long, walk you through how to create a boosted post, set the audience targeting and get a result from it. So learn how to use the targeting tools of the Facebook ads, use the Facebook ads, and in a judicious way, boost this post for $10 and that post for $20. You don't have to bet the farm on the outcome, but you will learn a little bit about reach and response as you see the results of these posts. So learn how to target and learn how to understand the analytics. There's 3 things that really matter: who saw the post, who interacted with the post, as in like, comment, or share, and how many people clicked on the website link on the post. Everything else is just so much additional detail, but those 3 key metrics gives you a really good idea of how your social media is performing. And the last thing, it's also the first thing and the middle thing. The key thing with social media, it's all about the people. You need to be factoring that into all your content. You're in the service-based and a service enterprise, which is all about the people. But what we say to our products-based clients, talk about the people who make the product, use the product, deliver the product, or involve some way. Involve people in your social media, because that's what the platform's all about. And with that, I will leave it with you. Any other questions, or any questions at all?
Thank you so much, Jeff. That was just incredible. You've done an amazing job, filled with knowledge, and certainly learned a lot from today. There was, Richard said that the sound was cutting out at some stages. Richard, it was fine on my end, so perhaps you'd want to have a look at it when you can review it again once the recording's been completed, because it seemed to be okay from my end. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff? Make the most of his knowledge while we have him.
If you think of anything later, you're more than welcome to email me.
Okay, excellent. So it sounds like it might be the sound issue just with Richard. So yeah, keep an eye out when the recording's finished, Richard. We don't want you to miss out. It was very knowledgeable and helpful in our industry, particularly things like reviewing those comments. We do know as property managers that can be tough at times, and there's some ex-tenants basically that might not be happy with you, and that they just rear their little wee heads every now and again. So keep an eye out for your comments on your Facebook pages and things, just to make sure, you know, they're not tarnishing your reputation that you've worked so hard for. Any questions? We still have some time left. What's this? Question from David. Hang on, Jeff. How can somebody get in touch with you, Jeff, if they would like to use your services?
Pauline, I'm going to send you this presentation, so perhaps you could just send my contact details out to the association. Anyone who wants to get in touch with me is able to do so.
Sure, that sounds fantastic. And so you do, if someone was to hire your services, then it's you're doing Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those different platforms? Yes,
we sure do. We do all the social platforms.
Great. Do you do many for existing, for any existing property managers at the moment?
Of our 250 clients, probably 30 or 40 would be in the property space, half of them in the building and fabrication. The other half are a combination of real estate agents, valuers, property managers. So yeah, we do look after the social media. We consider that we've really built up some expertise in the property space as a result.
Excellent, good to hear. There's everybody's saying that the presentation was fantastic, Jeff.
I'm blushing. My ears are burning. You can probably see it.
And in the chat, you'll see the website, which is www.easysocialmedia.co.nz. And Jeff's email is jeff.k, that's jef.kay@easysocialmedia.co.nz. So feel free to reach out to Jeff if you would like some more information. But as he said, this full presentation is being recorded, so you can watch it over and over again as much as you like. If you need to get more tips on that, and make contact with Jeff if that's the way you're going. So I guess if we don't have any questions